Put down your baby and pick up a beer. Dad Jokes is back. I'm Jerry, joined here by Brandon, and you're listening to the podcast where two first-time dads bring you through the journey of fatherhood and kind of as we go along and figure it out ourselves. So, Brandon, say hello.
What up, Jerry?
You know, it's been pretty crazy around the Olusky household the last few weeks, and the last 48 hours especially for myself. So I've been busy, man, and we're T-minus 1 week. We're less than 1 week away from the due date, so I'm also on pins and needles just waiting for the baby to get here.
You know, I can somewhat relate, having gone through it pretty recently, but because we were planned, this, like, what you're going through right now, like I could get a call at any time. Like, I feel like I didn't really have that feeling. I just knew that the day was coming because we were 3 weeks early at the first time we tried to get induced. So this part of it, knowing you, I don't necessarily envy you right now.
Yeah, it's been a little crazy. I guess the only good thing is we've been so busy, it's been hard to sit and think about it too much. We'll get into that in a second, but today on the show, what we're going to talk about is hospital bags, specifically what you used in your hospital bag when you went, what we have in ours, but also just some ideas of what some people try to put in them, things that they say you might need, want, and it's kind of a preference thing. So we'll go through different ideas of what you might want to put in your hospital bag, in the wife's, and what you might want to have for the baby as well, Brandon.
I'm excited about this episode. It's super important, and a lot of the stuff you don't necessarily think about. And for us, the cool thing is we got 2 tries at it. So I got to see what I messed up with the first time, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, but before we do that, Brandon, you know what time it is. It's time for a dad joke. You ready for me?
Waiting with bated breath, Jerry.
I like it. So, Brandon, what do you call a hippie's wife?
A hippie's wife. Ganja burn.
Mississippi.
That's pretty good.
No, I saw that one and I don't know why, but I laughed way too hard at it. So I'm like, yep, that's gonna be the next one. It just was funny to me. So Mississippi.
I went with the marijuana reference. So
yeah, you did. So Brandon, today, we're talking about hospital bags. Before we get into that, though, what's been going on you the last week?
So this week has been pretty busy for a variety of reasons, but the big thing in the Banks household right now, prior to us recording this, I came in late, which isn't really unusual, but it was, the reason being is I just took Bryce and a bunch of stuff over to my parents' house, him over there to visit, and the stuff because Kelsey, my wife, goes back to work tomorrow. So that is, obviously that's something that's tough. I remember when I went back to work, it was something I was dreading for like the week leading up to it. This has been a day that's been kind of circled on the proverbial calendar. We knew it was coming. We got my parents ready. We actually shared like a Word document that she mainly came up with, but I also contribute to as well. Just some of our practices that we have and the schedule we have, and we got them set up for success, which is what you want. So that was set up. Bryce will be 11 weeks old tomorrow in our time. Obviously, we're 2 weeks back as far as the podcast go, and then I mean, really, without going too much deeper in our week, I'm just excited for you, Jerry. It's go time.
Yeah, no, it's exciting for sure, but you know that's a big deal for you guys. I know that obviously when you went back to work, that's a huge deal, but you still had Kelsey at home, so now with you both being back to work, that's got to be a big deal, obviously for her, but even a little bit for you, because you now you got your parents, which is a big deal, but you don't have mom or dad at home, so I know that's probably got to weigh on you a little bit too.
Yeah, it's something that is. It's tough mentally, really. The saving grace is that it is our parents. Like, I can't imagine, and I know there's people listening who probably deal with this. I can't imagine if we didn't have my parents involved in like the daycare situation. Like obviously you vet the daycare out and stuff like that, but just the way I feel knowing he's going to be taken care of, and it's my parents. Like, he's been around him a million times, but if dropping him off at like daycare right now would probably weigh on me even more. But really, right now, dads, we feel it, and a lot of times it's not the macho thing to do to kind of express your emotions. But I feel for my wife right now too, because as much time as I've gotten, this has been her day in, day out for the last 3 months, basically. And she's the person that's keeping him alive right now. So there is just a little bit of a difference, in my opinion, with the mother and baby bond in the beginning. So that's tough, but we're gonna make it through. We'll be good.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys will find your routine, but I know definitely that first day and the first week probably are the hardest, and then you kind of find your flow and it all works out, you know. Plus, Grandma and Grandpa's love spoiling those kids, and I'll tell you what, I got lots of nieces and nephews, and they all love Grandma and Grandpa, so I'm sure Bryce is going to be just happy.
We went over today, and Bryce had a couple new toys, including a new teddy bear that's called like a peekaboo bear that like raises his arms up and plays peekaboo with the kid on its own.
Yeah, my mom called me today, and she said, I got a couple of gifts for the baby and some Christmas outfits. I said, he's got 75,000 Christmas outfits, and the baby hasn't even been born yet. So we got a lot. But, yeah, like you said, Brandon, obviously it is crazy around here right now. We're due a week from yesterday. The big thing for us was that obviously yesterday was the wedding that we've been kind of anticipating, where I officiated it, and my wife was the matron of honor. And the wedding was gorgeous. It went great. I was nervous, I'll be honest with you, and I public speak all the time. I mean, we're doing podcasts right now, but the difference is, you're doing someone's wedding. You want it to be perfect. So I was nervous, but I think I did all right. My wife did a great job with her speech, and the wedding went off great. The bride and groom had a great time. So now we kind of got that off our back. Now both of us are like, all right, it's baby time. We're good to have the baby now any day. So we're both excited for that. Work's been a little crazy for me. She had a bunch of work, but now it's kind of buckling down and getting ready. We've had to pack the stuff in the car a few different times just because we're going to be a little bit away. So I'm getting used to hauling the bags into the car, hauling the car seat into the car, and then taking them out because we have some things that we'll probably still need to use in the house. So it's been a little bit hectic, but I kind of hope, Brandon, that we have the baby before we have the next podcast. I'm not sure it'll happen, but I'm kind of hoping that we can't do another one in between, so that the podcast after this one will be me introducing our new baby to the world.
I'm beyond excited. I feel myself getting emotional just thinking about it. And really, I'm not going to lie, I'm happy for you guys. Selfishly, I just want to know what you're having.
Well, it's funny because I've been thinking it's a boy, and Macy's been thinking it's a boy for a while now, and most of our friends say teen boy, but Macy had a dream that it was a girl the other day. So who knows? She had a dream, so she woke up and said, "Hey, I had a dream that it was a girl," and I was like, "Okay." So I think if it's a girl, I'll be more shocked, just because in my head I kind of a while back was like, I think it's a boy. So we'll see.
I don't know which way I'll feel either way. I'll be super excited. I think selfishly I want Bryce to have a little friend to play with. So either way, he'll have a friend to play with. But we can hold off on the girl for like a couple years.
Well, we shall hopefully know very, very soon. Someone was actually telling me a story yesterday. It was funny where they're like, "Yeah, we didn't find out," and she's like, "I gave birth, and I actually kind of forgot that I didn't know." And she's like, "It was like 20 seconds before they told me," and all of a sudden he was like, "Oh, it's a girl," and she's like, "Oh, well, that's right, we didn't know." I thought that was funny. I was like, "Wow, that's kind of crazy that you didn't know until right then." But I mean, I guess when you're going through that experience as the woman, I can see how it would kind of not cross your mind immediately. But I'm surprised the husband wasn't like, "Yo, what's the baby?"
Yeah, that's all you're going to be thinking about, I can pretty much guarantee you.
Yeah, for sure. But speaking of babies, like I said, we've been hauling our bags back and forth inside the car and back, and I have a bag and Macy has a bag, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is hospital bags, Brandon. And the big thing when you're talking about hospital bags is, one, you want to make sure you have your bags ready at least probably a couple months before the due date, because you never know what's going to happen. And usually if you have the baby that early, it's something's going on. You're going to need it. You're going to need them quickly. You know what I mean? Whereas if it's more towards the due date, you're probably going to have a longer active labor. You're probably going to know about it and be able to throw some things in the bag before you leave. But in those emergency situations or those early situations, you might not have that time. So that's why it's important to have the bag packed a couple months early and to have everything you want in there beforehand, because you might not have that time, Brandon.
Couldn't agree more. At the very least, get your essentials in there, which we'll go over a little bit of. But I mean, the point of packing the hospital bag and packing it early is so you stay ready. You stay ready, you never have to get ready. I don't know who said that, but I'm coining it today. And so you're absolutely right. Make sure that a couple months before, I think I had my like bare bones bag packed at 32 weeks, which was exactly 2 months, I guess, over the 40. We ended up going in and having him at 38 weeks. So I probably was even a little bit later than I maybe should have been. But you're absolutely right. What do you think is most important to go in your bag?
So if we're talking specifically my bag, the guy's bag, I'll tell you right now, my bag is 95% snacks and food. Macy's got a lot of other stuff that we'll get into, but my job is to, one, keep her fed and happy, and but also, two, make sure that I don't have to bounce out for any reason because of dehydration or starvation or whatever. So I have lots of snacks, lots of food, water, Gatorades, and then obviously for myself too, I have change of clothes, comfortable clothes. You don't want to be in there with something not comfortable, so change of comfortable clothes, a couple different things of layers based on temperature. I have charging cords, long charging cords. You want charging cords for your phone. Make sure your phone's charged. If you're going to bring any other electronics, such as an iPad or a laptop, you want to make sure you have your charging cord for that stuff. I also brought my materials as far as like books that I think will be important or could be advantageous to have. So I have a couple books, and we have a couple, like the birth plan, basically. We have a copy of that as well in kind of my bag. And then, like I said, I'll go through hers here in a second. But what about you, Brandon? What did you have in your personal bag?
So my personal bag, the most important thing for me was a comfortable pair of shoes. At the time, both times, which I'll get into, we didn't know whether or not it was going to be a vaginal birth or a C-section. We assumed going in that it was going to be a vaginal birth. So you kind of do the research. You understand that this could be a 15-hour labor period, and then maybe 2 hours in actual labor. So I knew I was going to be standing up, potentially coaching her, getting on her nerves in her ear. I was like, hey, let me make sure I have the most comfortable pair of shoes I have. So my Adidas Ultra Boost were packed, on my feet, and then I had some slides, just some regular Adidas slides.
No New
like
Balance?
shower time. I didn't have any New Balance. I didn't get to that point yet. I do have New Balance in the closet. Don't sleep on New Balance. We've talked about that. And then the other thing was a pillow for me. Pillow and cover. For dads, you are going to be, one, not getting that much sleep. And when you do get sleep, I always like fancy myself someone who can kind of, if I'm tired enough, fall asleep anywhere. I'm the guy who, like, sleepovers growing up, just throw me on the floor, I'm good. One, you're not going on the floor in the hospital. And two, that pull-out couch recliner thing that you're about to get real acquainted with, Jerry, you may love. You may love. I didn't. So I actually, the first time we went, I had like a simple sheet, and it was summertime, simple sheet and a pillow, and I just was like sticking to the fake leather recliner. So second time around, and learned from me, I took actual like a sheet to lay down so I didn't stick, and then cover as well, because you got to find ways to get comfortable. And even if that means packing out a little bit extra, in my opinion, those moments of sleep are precious. Take advantage of them. So those are my two most important things. Obviously, you got to have a snack. You know me, Jerry. I had my laptop and I had my iPad with me. I had my noise canceling headphones. I actually brought my Nintendo Switch, which I hadn't. I forgot I had it. And I was sitting there. One of the doctors kind of made fun of me. I actually walked in to check on Kelsey. I'm sitting there. I feel like laying on my stomach with my feet in the air almost. Sitting there
Like
playing my video game like a little kid. And she looked at me. She saw Kelsey laying in the bed, kind of. This was the first time we were in a little pain. And I'm sitting there playing like Mario Kart or something on my Nintendo Switch. And she looked at me. She's like, "You having fun?" Like, I'm sorry. I got to be doing something right now. I can't do anything. So after that, every time she knocked, I kind of hid the Switch. I wanted to make sure she didn't see me with it. I felt real childish for a little while. That funny. And then just sweatpants, sweatshirt, comfortable clothes like you mentioned, and I actually packed swaddles in my bag as well.
Yeah, you mentioned pillow and blankets. I have a blanket packed in mine, a pretty comfortable one. I don't have a pillow, more like a space thing, I think, just carrying a bunch of stuff. I might regret that. I'm not sure. I will tell you that we were at the hospital the other day for a checkup, and we were leaving, and people were checking in that were clearly going there for labor. And they had a couple bags and they had a couple pillows with them. And, and homeboy was carrying it all. So,
Dad, you're going to be carrying.
Yeah. So that's the other thing is she's got a bag, I have a bag. And then, actually I actually do have two bags. Like I said, the one is basically just like snacks and food. The other one's got like my clothes and like I said, a blanket in there. So I do know too, when you're talking about food and stuff like that, you gotta be careful what your wife or significant other can eat. So I packed a lot of smaller things that we know that they recommend to have not only before or during, but afterwards, because you might be there for a day or two afterwards. So you want things like for that as well, things they can drink and also eat. So, but again, yeah, pillows, blankets, a lot of people mention those. Some people, it's funny. My wife actually put a post up on Facebook about like, hey, what did you guys pack in your hospital bag? And the second she did it, she regretted it because it kind of was like World War III on the post where, some people are like, you need this, and this. And then other people are like, you don't need anything. The hospital has everything. And people are like really adamant about it. Like it's a super big deal. But I guess to each their own. And I guess that's the point of this episode is know what the options are out there and know why people bring stuff and decide what's best for you. You might not need a lot because the hospitals do provide some stuff, especially depending on where you're at. Everyone has different areas and different hospitals that give different things. So it's not a bad idea to check with your hospital either. But as far as like diapers, almost all hospitals have like diapers. As far as like medications for the baby, hospitals have that obviously. So a lot of stuff for the baby itself, you don't have to worry about, with the exception of you're going to want to make sure you bring some newborn clothes. You're going to want to bring maybe a swaddle. And the big thing, a lot of like the moms usually care about, make sure you have the going home outfit picked out because that's a big deal. You're going to get lots of pictures. So you want to have one. So we actually have two, Brandon, because obviously we don't know if it's a boy or a girl. We got a boy outfit and a girl outfit. Yep.
Look at you overpacking. Important. That's why you should have found out.
I actually think we have two of each just in case the baby like spits up or something. I really do. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure we have two of each. I definitely know we've bought two at least at some point in time. I don't know if they're both packed, but like I said, for the baby, there's not that much, ironically. The hospital has most of that, but it's mostly for you and your significant other.
Basically, out of all that, you were right. But what I got out of it is if you found out 9 months ago or whatever it was, what kind of kid you were having or what the sex of the kid was, you could have packed your pillow for the time.
Yeah, because a baby onesie are so big. That's probably true.
You're absolutely right. And from like the pillow perspective, the hospital did provide me a pillow. It was just like, think of like a cheap motel that maybe you never experienced this, Jared, but maybe going like you're on like an AAU trip or something like that with the team. You guys all got to bunk in at a cheap motel, and like that pillow that's like in the closet that nobody else wants. That's the pillow that's going to be sitting on that chair for you with the paper like material pillowcase. I mean, beggars can't be choosers. It was an included pillow. Can't really be that upset, but I was happy I brought my own pillow.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. And I'm super picky when it comes to pillows, like super picky. But I'll be honest with you.
You need to take your own pillow then.
Well, here's the problem. I'll be straight honest with you. I hate all my pillows right now. I can't stand my own pillows. So that's my thinking, is if I can't stand my own, what's the difference if I get one there? Because I'm super picky with them, and I can't find. I don't have one I like right now. It's actually on a Christmas list for a new pillow. But the problem with pillows is you don't know until you sleep with them for a while. So, but I agree. Having a pillow is probably not the worst idea in the world.
Jerry, Kohl's, one, they have a return policy. Hit Kohl's up tomorrow. They have a bunch of different types of pillows. You can get like the Tempur-Pedic, like $87.
I've had them all, Brandon.
Expensive. You've had that pillow?
I've had them all. I've had pillows that were $10. I've had pillows that were $100. And you can ask Macy. She's super simple. Me, nope. And I rotate pillows throughout the night. Because they just...
I do the same. I need the right combination of pillows, but I just kind of make it work. It sounds like you do too, but I guess I'm not as tender-headed as you are.
Apparently. So, speaking of the women, obviously their bag's a little bit different than ours because they need stuff. Segue. Yeah, exactly. But they need something that's a little bit different than obviously us because they need stuff for during labor, which is very, very different than post-labor for them. So it's very important that they have stuff that they can wear and feel comfortable in during labor, especially if they're going to have like an active labor. They're going to walk around. They're going to want to go in the shower. They're going to want to be on a birthing ball. They're going to want different positions. You want maybe a robe or really loose-fitting clothes, You might want some stuff for afterwards. Again, that's not going to put a lot of pressure on your stomach, especially if you're having a C-section. Even if you're having a vaginal birth as well. So you want specific clothing for both during labor and after labor that's comfortable for them. So that's very important. You also are going to need some postpartum care stuff. Make sure that you do the research, you get all that kind of stuff. And then music's a big thing too. So one thing that I read that's kind of important is just think of your 5 senses when you're going to the hospital. What do you want those senses to kind of have during the actual birth? And that's what you kind of want to bring with you. So as far as music, what do you want to hear? Do you have a playlist? Do you want headphones? Do you not want headphones? Do you want a speaker? Some people bring like those little portable speakers. So our scents. Some people bring sprays. They want to smell lavender. They want to smell, different scents. You can't light a candle, but you might have like a candle that's got a certain scent that you want in the room. Touch, again, when you're bringing a robe or different clothing, do you want it to be like silk? Do you want it to be, cotton? What do you like to feel? All those different things you want to kind of envision. Same thing with taste. What do you think you might want to eat? What is comfort food, or what do you think will relax you? So those are important things, that I've read. Brandon, what about you for the women to bring to the hospital?
Well, I consulted with Kelsey on this, so I can tell you exactly pretty much what she brought. And I'm not going to get into the kind of the minutia of it all, but we'll go through kind of item by item. First thing you brought up taste is like the last thing. We actually had a cooler. And side note, you're going to realize as we go through this that I might have showed up to the hospital, as we mentioned, with like 17 bags. Had to make multiple trips. To each their own. Some people may think that's too much. I think that it was perfectly fine. My wife, in talking to her about this, thinks that we slightly overpacked. But
no.
So we actually had like a small lunch pail type cooler. Because towards the end of my wife's pregnancy, and even right now, Uncrustables have been like her jam, pun intended.
Those are money. I love what flavor?
I have no idea. I think it's just like grape and peanut butter or something like that.
I like grape better than the strawberry. They're money.
You know what? I think she has strawberry. Now I think about it.
I'm on Team Uncrustable.
Pulling them out. Well, she had legitimately. I made another trip home during like the process and got more Uncrustables. But that was her go-to. So we had a bunch of like frozen Uncrustables in a cooler. Like she had her reusable water bottle. You're gonna get all like ice and water you need, but water and Mio were there as well. The big things for her, kind of transition away from food. We had a bunch of other snacks and stuff like that, but obviously that's subjective. When she packed her suitcase, she had me in mind and understood that, one, if we were going in the drop of a hat, or two, if things needed to happen quickly in the hospital, I needed to be able to access things. And fellas, I don't know if you've been in your wife's purse anytime recently, but they can like tell you exactly where something is, and you go to try to grab it, and I don't know about you guys, but I can never find it. It's like a jungle in there sometimes. So what she did in her suitcase is she bought smaller bags to help keep it organized, so I can just grab a bag and know where stuff was. So one bag of her suitcase had chargers and electronics for her. Another had toiletries and shower stuff. Another bag had her postpartum or afterbirth care. And that all was for me. She agreed with you, Jerry. The long charger was a must. But surprisingly, she never used it when we were actually in the hospital. We have a few portable battery packs. More than anything else, she always had her computer or her phone or tablet plugged into one of those battery packs. And we had more than enough charge to last us. So that was packed. Laptop, tablet, external batteries. Toiletries, I'll let you guys kind of use your imagination to understand what that is, but normal stuff, deodorant, body wash, don't forget toothbrush and toothpaste. And also a big thing for hospitals, a lot of times they tend to be pretty dry. So chapstick for both mom and dad is something that could be really important. As far as what she wore, Jerry hit the nail on the head. She ended up having a C-section. She was prepared for that just in case. So she had like maternity leggings that went up above where the scar would potentially go. She had her own personal hospital gown. So the two things she said, hey, these are the most important for me, were her personal hospital gown. And then I got permission to say this because I asked her first. The hospital provides like postpartum, like a specific type of underwear afterwards. She bought her own like diaper type underwear that worked for her, that went above like the scar as well. She said that was vital. Between her own gown, she just felt more comfortable, and basically the diapers, that was those were the two things that were like kind of must-haves postpartum as well. My last quick thing, the hospital, like Jerry said, will give you everything you need. But I actually brought like a bag, like an empty bag, and I was like putting stuff in there, and they keep refilling it. And then we had really great nurses who like gave me a personal like to-go bag with a bunch of stuff in it. So a bunch of formula if you are going to use it in a pinch or use it normally. Diapers, wipes, things like that as well. So overall, she felt like she overpacked a little bit. I thought it was just right. So
yeah, no.
Little bears.
That makes sense. One thing you mentioned that we had mentioned before was toiletries. That's a big one. Obviously, make sure you have all your toiletries, toothbrush, mouthwash. If you're like, I wear contacts, so make sure you have contacts, glasses, all that kind of stuff, because you don't want to have to run back and forth or forget something. So both you and your wife, make sure you have everything toiletry wise. Another thing too that a lot of people don't think of, and us guys usually have it on us, so it's not a big deal, but you want to make sure you have your ID. You want to have your ID. You want to have your wallet with information just in case the hospital needs that kind of stuff. So it's important to have that. Again, most of us carry it on us, but just another thing to make sure that you do have copies of your birth plan, if that's something that's important to you or that you want to give to the staff, also have those on you as well. But the big thing, like we talked about, Brandon, is there's a lot of things that you can figure out. There's tons of lists out there. If you buy any pre-birth books or pregnancy books for men or for women, they'll have a checklist in there undoubtedly. If you go online, you can find them. But the big thing is you want to be comfortable. Like you said, Kelsey, her big things was comfort. Felt like her own. She wanted her own stuff. That is very important. So make sure that you bring what you're going to help make the experience better for you, help make it more comfortable for you and your wife, and that you'll feel better, because it's very, very important during birth that the woman is relaxed and calm. Because when your body tenses up, when you have that adrenaline, it actually works against your body and it slows down the birth. So you don't want that. You want to be relaxed. And if you're relaxed as the man, it helps the woman relax as well. So you want to bring stuff that can keep you calm and make you feel more comfortable at a place that, let's be honest, hospitals aren't comfortable.
No, they are definitely not. That could have been the spot where if you're playing the without question dad jokes drinking game, that you took a shot, but I decided not to say it.
I like it. So, Brandon, anything else you want to add to hospital bags, or anything that you think that people maybe should look into, or any tips? Because you've gone through it, and you went through it twice, like you said. Me, I have not. I have the bags, but I have not actually had to use them.
My big thing, when we left the first time, I genuinely said, like, hey, we need to, like, cut some of this stuff down. And I started going through, like, line by line everything we had, and I felt everything was necessary. Now, I packed for, like, to be able to stay in the hospital for 5 days instead of 3, potentially. That's not just me going to the hospital. That's me taking a business trip. Like, I always overpack when it comes to that. So some certain things are kind of up to you. But one, the last thing I personally would want to do if I got somewhere like the hospital is feel like I left something at home or wish I would have went ahead and packed it, which is kind of how I felt the first time with the additional cover. So even if it requires you taking one more trip out after you guys get checked in, it isn't that big of a deal. Once you're leaving, you'll have more than enough time to get everything back. They make it easy transferring things room to room. I'm saying all this to say, Jerry, pack that pillow for yourself.
I might just have to.
You're not going to.
I might just have to. And and the other thing to keep in mind too is know where you're giving birth. Like if you're 2 minutes from the hospital, you might be able to run home and grab something. But if you're 30 minutes or more or something from the hospital, not that you can't if you stay longer, but it's much more difficult, and being away longer can be a big deal. So, keep that in mind too. Know the route to the hospital, know where you're going to park, all that kind of stuff goes into it as well. So, but
in worst case, put it in your car and just leave it there. It's in the parking lot, not at your house.
That's exactly true too. Yeah. If you have something and you think maybe I don't want to bring this in, or I don't think I'll need it, but it's in your car, and then you might end up going down to the parking lot and grabbing it because you want it. Maybe that's what I'll do with the pillow.
I actually did that with the original. That's where my original cover was, and I just didn't feel like going back out and getting it.
Yeah, that actually might be not a bad idea, Brandon. But Brandon, you said before we got on that you had a great dad joke today. So I've been waiting. I don't know about with bated breath, but I've been waiting to hear this dad joke.
I'm ready to drop it.
Let's see, because last time you dropped one on me, I didn't. I just listened to it back because I was editing it, and I didn't get it for like 30 seconds. So
it wasn't my joke, Jerry.
I know it wasn't, but still.
Well, shout out. So Jerry, yes. I gave a little hint there. I said I was going to drop it like it's hot. Why does Snoop Dogg carry an umbrella?
I don't know.
For drizzle.
Nice.
For drizzle.
For drizzle. Okay, I like it. That's a good one. There's some Snoop Dogg played yesterday at the wedding, so it's topical. There's a little Snoop Dogg right before he left. And
I feel like it was only one or two songs. It was either Beautiful or Drop It Like It's Hot.
Actually, it wasn't either. This was late in the night when there was only so many people there, and the DJ started getting a little bit wider with this playlist and what he thought was okay and not. There were some songs that I'm not sure were quite okay, but it was he played them and they were loving them. People were loving them, so it was all good.
I wonder what he played. G-Thing?
And I honestly can't remember, but it wasn't those two. And again, shout out to my wife because she was great. We stayed to pretty much the very, very end, which anyone who's been 9 months pregnant, which I haven't been, obviously, and you haven't been, Brandon, but there's a lot of people.
Jerry, she's basically 10 months pregnant.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of people there that were not pregnant and young, and they left earlier. So we hung in there, did a lot of dancing, had a lot of fun, and it was a good night. But she needs some rest today for sure. So, Brandon, again, I'm hoping the next episode is the one where I get to introduce our baby to the world. If not, then we'll have another one, and we'll kind of decide on a topic at that time just because we're kind of waiting to see if the baby comes or not. But for everyone at home, if this is your first time listening, please check out our other episodes. If it's not, we appreciate you listening to every single one. Please like us on Facebook. Please like us on Instagram. Give us reviews. Tell your friends about us. And give us advice. Give us dad jokes. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. We appreciate hearing from all of you. But for Brandon, I'm Jerry, and this has been Dad Jokes.